Thank you all for coming out. I think I said hello to everybody except for maybe you. Welcome. Nice to have you with us. I'm Drew Pearson. I'm the Dare County Emergency Management Director, and we're great to be able to host you here tonight at the Jennette's Pier. I'm going to stop talking and introduce you to Eric Hayden. Eric is the National Weather Service's Warning Coordination Meteorologist out of Newport Morehead City, and Eric is auditioning for a role in Fiddler on the Roof, so that's why he's in character right now. But he and I joke a lot. But Eric is a key partner for us up here in North Carolina. Even though he's out of Newport Morehead City, he knows the Outer Banks, he knows Dare County, and he and Tom Lonka, who's also from the Weather Service, are up here, and they're going to let them kick off a little bit on a lot on the weather and preparedness side. So if you have the hard weather questions, ask Eric. And then once Eric's done, I'm just going to go into some little bit of information on things in Dare County that can help you understand the processes we use and the things we do to help you get ready for the hurricane season. So with that, Eric, thank you.
Right. It's all yours. You. And Drew wasn't joking. I'm not auditioning for a part in Fiddler. I'm in it. You know how your family drags you into things. So my wife and 3 kids are into theater, and about a year ago, the company that we have down in Morehead City said they're going to do Fiddler on the Roof, and they needed common people, villagers, people like me, to just be in the background. So it's going to be the last 2 weekends in July and 1st in August. And where this comes into it is I can't cut my hair or beard until August 3rd. So that's why I look like this. So really appreciate you joining us this evening. He mentioned the tough meteorology questions. That's why I brought Tom, because he's a much better forecaster and better with the forecasting. So we'll turn it to Tom if you ask anything really hard. I know we have some repeat customers, some people that were here at the EOC before, over in Manio, some folks that are new. Really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come see this talk. We think it'll be very worthwhile, whether you've lived here a long time or you just moved to the area. We try to simplify things. If you could just do one thing today, tomorrow, this weekend, to become better prepared, that would be a good first step toward completion. Focus on the impacts. Never, ever, not ever focus on the category of the storm and its water, what is killing people. This is similar to every talk you see and hear us going forward. We're going to be saying these similar messages, the things that change, maybe new products, some pictures from the past to reinforce it, but a lot of the messaging is very, very similar. Raise your hand if you've heard about this. It's going to be really busy this year, hurricanes. All right. So not to worry you too much because we don't have control over that, but all the ingredients are there. Warm water, we're transitioning to a certain pattern toward more neutral or El Nino phase. It doesn't really matter what the forecast says. It matters if we actually get hit with a storm, and we can't predict that. So each and every year we say, prepare no matter what. You should be working on your hurricane kit because it just takes one storm. With that said, meteorologists, a lot of times we hem and haw, it could do this, it could do that, because it's Mother Nature. It's very unpredictable. An 85% chance that's going to be an active year, that's a pretty high number. So we're waving our hands more and saying, really pay attention this year. And a lot of notoriety has been on it being an active year. The thing I want to stress to you is the water is extremely warm. So yes, that potentially could lead to an active year, but it could also lead to an early year. It's been a while since we had a storm in July. July is just around the corner. We have had storms in July, June, and May. So our window is closing. The frequency of storms is really going to start to pick up no matter what the seasonal forecast says. So it's good that you're here. You took the time out of your day to see this presentation. One of the best resources you can have is our local website. The QR code, if you have a camera, and Tom and I can help you, all you do is take out your camera, pretend you're about to take a picture of that. As you zoom in, something will pop up on your phone. It'll be a link. You click on that, and that will open on your phone, and you can save that. It's a QR code. A lot of good information, day-to-day forecasting, what is the rip current outlook, of radar, tons of information on that page. Weather briefings that we send to the county, that's on that page. Also tropical information like the forecast cone and things you can get from the Hurricane Center. And if you're struggling with the QR code, you're not sure about the website, just remember our joke. If it's a weather you love, it's weather.gov. Just remember weather.gov. All kidding aside, no matter where you go in this country, if you just remember weather.gov, and then you click on the part of the country you're interested in, you will get the local forecast. So it's very good information. And if you have trouble with this, we're going to be here afterwards as well. Another QR code I want to talk about, I'm just going to scoot this over a little bit. We were just talking about this. I want to make sure my text is visible. Right, Caitlin? I'm a very visual person, so I worked real hard on this presentation. If you can't see it perfectly, it just bothers me. So I have to move that over. So another good website that you can get from our site. So you don't need to go all over the place, but sometimes people just like to go straight to the Hurricane Center. It's hurricanes with an S.gov, hurricanes.gov. Tremendous amount of information on here. One of the best things I want to point out is this tropical weather outlook. It used to only go out 2 days. Now it goes out 7 days. It's updated 4 times a day. You're welcome to check it 4 times a day, but I encourage you each morning or before you go to bed, just look at it. Hey, is there something I need to worry about over the next 7 days? Or no, I don't need to worry about anything. We are good to go. This particular one showing storms, so it will show current storms, but also a high, low, or medium chance of tropical formation in the next 7 days. So again, a quick check of this is a good thing. Local news will show it. The Weather Channel will show it. It'll be in a lot of different avenues, but certainly pay attention to it. Why do I say that? This is our outlook from this afternoon. So I heard the murmurs. People were talking about what's out there. This is a little kick in the butt. We have no idea what this is going to happen. It would be 10 to 14 days away. However, it's a good little voice in our head to say, wow, they were talking about this year might be early and active. I really should be starting to kick things into gear. So the outlook this afternoon, low chance for the Yucatan Peninsula, Southern Gulf, but a pretty high chance over the Central Atlantic and going toward the Leeward and Windward Islands of something in the next 7 days, potentially even sooner than that. So that's the tropical weather outlook. It is a good thing to check out. Another thing on the Hurricane Center site, again, it's on ours as well, is the forecast cone. Raise your hand if you have seen this before. So unless you've lived, so it's on the news, Weather Channel, anytime there's a storm hitting anywhere of tropical nature, we'll show this for the local news. The thing I want you to pay attention to is this is written very much like a lawyer wrote this. This shows the most probable path for just the center of the storm. A hurricane is not a dot on a map. We don't have to have landfall in Dare County to have major issues. If you're anywhere in the vicinity, you should be paying attention. 2/3 of the time, the center of the storm goes in that cone. But impacts extend well away from the center. So it's not an in or out thing. If you're anywhere near it, you should be paying attention. So if it's anywhere from Florida up to Delaware, you pay attention. With Hurricane Ian in Florida, I guess 2 years ago now, the cone gets much skinnier as we get closer. 5 days out, we're not sure. 1 or 2 days out, it's very, very skinny because we're confident where that storm's going to go. It's not based on storm size. It's based on where we think the center's going to go. So we're going to play a little game. Sam can't enter this game unless we don't have any responses from the audience. So we're going to play Name That Storm. There is too much focus on landfall. Where's it going to hit? Where's the center going to go? And too much focus on the cone. I want people to focus on anywhere in the vicinity and not just the category. So this is from October. That's one of your hints. This is a forecast 48 hours from the closest approach to North and South Carolina. This occurred in October, so it's another good storm to reemphasize it's a long season. And it did produce the highest reported surge on Hatteras Island according to our gauge, but a lot of people said it was very high. Whether it was the highest ever, not sure. Does anybody know what this might be? If you're looking for where the name is, it would be there, but I blocked it out. So other than Drew or Tom or Sam, at least for now, does anybody have any idea what this was? It is not Dorian. Dorian was September, but good. It's a good guess, especially for high water levels. Matthew, I gave it away. So I gave it away. It was Matthew. So I should say my youngest son, who's 10, is Matthew. So that Matthew's on my mind a lot. So it was Matthew. So the point of emphasis with this is the closest it got to Dare County. Really, really close, but it never made landfall here. Did it cause a big issue? Yes. Especially Hatteras Village and also anywhere south side, Wanchese, Roanoke Island, those areas. So the point of emphasis is we were near where the center was going to go, but we never had landfall. Another point, it was just a one, and it was also in October, so late season storm. So a lot of things to highlight with that. And I'll work next time to not give away. See, you can see why they have me as a villager in the background. Not to leave. Some other good stuff on the Hurricane Center site. Again, this is on our page. It's going to be in our briefings. Things like storm surge. Also, when are the strong winds going to get here? When should you wrap up your plans? If you're going to evacuate, when should you do that by? We give an earliest and a reasonable, most likely when we think it's going to happen. And the storm surge one, you should all do a photo op. You're very lucky to have a county and folks like Drew. Has anybody noticed the rainbow colored pole as you walked in? And you see them all over. I didn't miss it when I came across the Roanoke Sound. So those are color coordinated with the Hurricane Center to show you feet above ground. What does that mean? You know, I'm not a scientist. That means where it's normally dry, it's going to be 3, 6, 9, 12 feet above dry ground. The county and Drew worked to install those. I don't think they're anywhere else in the world or the country. So you're very lucky that we have a lot of people focused on your safety. So be sure to check that out. So weather.gov, also NWS for National Weather Service, Morehead City. We're all over on social media. Current TV is recording this, so they're going to share it their way. We're going to share stuff on our YouTube channel, Facebook, Instagram. I still call it Twitter. We're all over social media. Not changed. Some people were asking, should they come back to the area? So I did that tweet behind me. Don't let your guard down. It's still going to be catastrophic. I always say this. I love being up here. We had a nice shrimp dinner. Love being in the Outer Banks. But I get paid the same today as I do during Florence or Irene or Isabel or Matthew or Michael. I get paid the same. We don't have any advantage to hyping anything up. So when we say it's going to be very bad or it's going to do this, that's because we care about you and we think it's going to happen. So keep that in mind. So we're here for hurricane preparedness. The QR code in the upper right is the same over the next couple slides. So you got lots of chances to snag it. Our website, weather.gov/Morehead City. If you just add hurricane prep, lots of good information, graphics in Spanish, videos for the deaf and hard of hearing, evacuation routes, what should you have in your kit, insurance. Oh, by the way, keep cash on hand. What should you have in your kit? All on that website. A lot of really good information. And it's a 3-step process. Your first step is today. Congratulations, you are here doing what you need to do. How vulnerable are you? Our eye is drawn toward the weather. I live in an area that had storm surge. I live in a low-lying area. You know, those are vulnerabilities, but so are who is in your household. Are they relying on electricity or power for oxygen? That's life-threatening. If I lose AC and power, it's ho-hum, it's uncomfortable for me, but I'm okay. I'm not dependent on electricity. For some folks, it's very crucial you have electricity, so your vulnerability is high. My parents, I grew up just south of Baltimore, Maryland. They moved down to be closer to me in Swansboro about 2 years ago. So my vulnerability is a lot higher. My dad passed, so it's just my mom now. So now I have a mom and a family with a 16, 13, and 10-year-old to think about getting out of the area while I stay put. So my vulnerability is higher. I still say I'm younger, so I can pick up and leave if I had to, but I have other considerations in my family to think about. So vulnerability is more than just weather. That's something you think about today, not the Tuesday before a storm. And oh, by the way, what am I going to do with mom or grandma or the dogs or the pets? This is today when you're not stressed. Step 2, you thought about your vulnerability, make a kit, make a kit, make a kit. At the ground floor is 3 days. Food, water, medicine, everything you would need to survive on your own. That's bare basics, at least that. If you can, Try to push it out to a week. I know some of you may not be able to go out to the store this weekend and just get it. That's okay. That's why we talk about it in June. Get your water this weekend. A couple of weekends from now, you get your canned goods, spread out that financial impact. It's not just about you. You might be okay where you are, but you might not just be able to go down the road to the food line and get your sandwich and makings 2 days from now. They may not have power. They have to restock. Supply chains are cut off. The road might not exist. So you need to be able to be on your own and sufficient, because things are not just going to return to normal. Depending on where you live in the county, it could be weeks and months, especially down toward Hatteras Island. So be able to be on your own. Supplies will run out. They will run out. So if we get this storm and heads any way toward us over the next week to 10 days, our supplies will run out. So try to do this when you have time to get those supplies and you have plenty of time to plan. Last step is have a place to evacuate to. At least multiple places. Don't just go to Raleigh. Sometimes Raleigh's okay. Sometimes Raleigh's worse than us. Like storms like Florence and Fran, it was worse in Raleigh than it was here in Dare County. So you just want to go opposite. My plan A was Baltimore. That's gone. So plan A is now we've got family in South Carolina, or send the kids up to Richmond or West Virginia, or where we used to live in upstate New York. Just get out of here away from the storm. Think about your pets. Think about who would be with you. A lot of people ask Drew and other county officials, what about the shelters? Where should we go? Your shelter is a last resort. It is a safe location. It's not the Hilton. It's a cot, and it's a safe place to be. That's your last resort. It's much better being with a family, friend, or relative. Think about all the people that are coming to visit us because we live in paradise. Go visit them. Go stay at a hotel out of here. That would be a much, much better option. And we're saying this now. Think about decisions. We have a lot of experience in the room today. Think about times in your life where you've been stressful. You've had to make a quick decision. Sometimes you made a good one. Sometimes you made a bad one. It's hard when you're under stress. So if you think about this today, you're going to have a clear head and you're going to make really good decisions. If you think about this 4 days before a storm, you may not make a good decision. So that's why we're talking about it now. If you, we should lock the doors before we say this. If you didn't realize this, we are the most vulnerable stretch of coastline in the entire United States. So if you're new to the area and you didn't realize it, yes, we can potentially get a lot of storms. But this is where we live. We look out these windows. We live in a beautiful location. We are vulnerable, but it's our responsibility to be prepared 1 or 2 times a year or 1 or 2 times every 5 years. We may not have storms. So it's our responsibility to live in an area like this, to take responsibility to be prepared. Now is certainly the time to do that. You will hear people talking about storms. They'll reference certain names. Some storms have moved towns, created new inlets, cut off access. Some folks have had to ferry over to the island for up to 4 or 5 weeks. It has changed and will continue to change where we live. That's just natural. It's happened for hundreds of years. So you'll hear people reference some of these storms, especially Isabel, Irene, Sandy. Florence was down Norway. I tried to get rid of that because that was not much for you. Michael and Dorian. Each storm is different. Each storm is unique. For Matthew, it's Hatteras. It's certain locations had it worse than others. It's more Hatteras Village. Irene, it's the Tri-Villages and Avon, even up north. For some in Manio, it's Michael, just a tropical storm, or it's Irene. Each storm is unique. We have such a long north to south county, they don't all hit differently. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about that. We show you this graph all the time. The peak of the hurricane season is mid-September. We have a long way to go. So when the kids go back to school after Labor Day, we're about halfway home. I do want to emphasize where we are now, things are pretty steady, but they really start ramping up about the first couple weeks of August through the end of September. So if we don't get anything in the next 2 weeks and we get through July and we get into August, don't let your guard down. We're not even halfway through the season. Some of our biggest storms have been around that peak in September, but again, Matthew in October and Sandy well into October toward November. We've had storms toward Halloween, so keep that in mind. And that's a good time to point this out. We're in a unique environment. We do a lot of focus on tropical weather. We are year round here in the Outer Banks. Ash Wednesday storm is 62, nor'easters. Sometimes we have just as bad, if not worse, impacts during the winter because it doesn't have a name and we don't think about it in the same terms. So when you live by this, you get this, but you also get potential storms. So just kind of keep that in mind. It's nothing to be afraid of or scared of. You just need to be prepared. The National Weather Service is hiring more people like me to communicate. We continue to become more accurate, and we'll make mistakes, but generally speaking, we continue to be more accurate. What we struggle with is messaging, being too scientific, not being clear with our messaging. So they're hiring people like me to say, don't focus so much on the category. Hurricane Irene 2011 really taught us that. It was just a one, it was devastating in our area. So don't just focus on the category, it's only related to wind. Does not tell you how much surge you'll get, how much rain you'll see, if it will sit over us for 4 days, if it will go up through the sound and will be on the right or really bad sound side of it. It says nothing about that. It's part of the puzzle. Mr. Eric is not saying ignore it. He said, hey, it's a 3, don't worry about it. Look at all the other impacts. Just part of the puzzle, not the whole thing. These are a lot of just ones to remind you. And you'll talk to people in the community if you have not lived here. Ask them about Irene, how that was. It was just a one. Ask them about Matthew, especially down toward Hunter's Village. How about Hermine? It was just a tropical storm. Somebody lost their life on the Alligator River Bridge. Think about that as you drive to where we live today. How about Michael? It hit down toward the Gulf Coast in Florida. I think it was a category 4, Tom. Real crazy storm. 4, right? 5. Crazy storm. It weakened as it went over land. It didn't weaken as it approached us. Strong wind gusts, and we had 2 to 4 feet of surge, especially Manio and Kitty Hawk, Collington, those areas. It was just a tropical storm. So do not focus on just the number of the storm. The other point of emphasis, water, water, water. We say don't focus on the category because statistically, less than 10% of people die because of wind. Could a tree fall in your car? Does it cause a lot of property damage? Yes, but it's water that's going to get you, especially in our area. Storm surge, that water rise can be very, very quick. That's the rise of water ahead of a storm. So ocean side, it would push at us. Sound side, it may blow out and you may not have any water. That's when you know you're in trouble because it often will slosh back depending on the storm track. So these are just some pictures to emphasize this. It could be surge, it could be rip currents, or it could be flooding. Even though Florence was down our way, I want to re-emphasize this. We lost 15 people in the state. 11 were because of flooding, so it continues. This is not like an old statistic. All 11 were in vehicles. So when we're talking water, we're talking people and vehicles crossing roads, you're going where they shouldn't do. You see it all the time. If you watch a national news story about flooding, I guarantee you'll see some video of people driving through water. Past experience can be a good thing, but not all storms are alike. A lot of people with Isabel or Irene didn't think it could be that bad. It just depends. Our forecast cone can be very accurate. If it's on the right side of that and the eye goes out over the water, not as bad as if it goes right over us or just to the west of us. It just depends. 10 or 15 mile difference, and a lot of times we don't know that until there's landfall. So it depends on your perspective. No 2 storms are alike. Have a vivid imagination of what could happen, because it can happen. A lot of people think, I didn't realize it could be this bad. It has been this bad before. It will happen again. It's just a matter of when. So please keep that in mind. Post-storm, we want to focus on as well and mention this. We do a lot of preparedness. We've lost less lives through the years for things like storm surge, thanks to awareness campaigns and messaging. So we're doing a good job. One thing we could probably do a little better job on is the back end. So you get the generator, how do you use it? Not in the garage, in a well-ventilated space. You might say, who's doing that? We lose lives every year because of that. That water is dirty. Don't go wading through it. Septic tanks, sewage, just stay put. If you decide to stay put, stay put. If you decide to leave the area, stay out of the area until it's safe to come back. Don't be in a rush. If you're not usually up on a ladder, you're not usually cutting the grass and dragging branches around, then don't do it after a storm. That yard will get cleaned up. Have somebody younger help you. We lose people to heart attacks, electrocutions with power lines and things like that. About half our deaths now are occurring after the storm. So we're going to wrap up with what you should focus on. If it's not just the category, well, what should you look at? You don't need to have a meteorology degree. Look at what is sent out from the county. Look what is sent from us. Look at your local news, and they're going to talk about how much rain. They're going to talk about how much surge. You're going to know your vulnerability because you've already talked about it, on a day like today. First for here would be storm surge. Don't assess your storm surge based on prior storms. If it's never gotten that high, and Irene or Isabel, or Bonnie or any of the past storms, doesn't mean it can't happen again. And again, it does not have to make landfall in our area. Matthew is one of the best examples. Did not make landfall here, but we had some of the worst storm surge down toward the southern end of Hatteras Island. Wave action can add on to this. So sound side or ocean side, if we're predicting 4 to 6 feet, there can be breaking waves on top of that, enhancing that damage. And we've seen that as well. This is just a little comparison. Storm surge, if you're new to the area, it's not just like a beachfront issue. A lot of our dunes have been built up, and in some areas we're pretty well protected. But it's also a sound side issue as well. So just because you're inland or on the other side of the sound, if you're by any body of water that's low lying, you can be impacted. Down our way, 45 minutes up the Neuse River, New Bern, had 11 feet of surge. You all, 8 to 11 feet of surge has happened on the sound before with Irene. So it's happened before, it can certainly happen again. This is downtown Manio. One of the high levels was Irene, 4.5 feet in 2011. It was just a 1. And poor Michael didn't even have a number up here, just a tropical storm, and it was about 3 feet. So some people can be skeptical of those numbers and not believing they've happened before and they will happen again. To re-emphasize that point, I know it's hard to see some of these colors, but I just wanted to re-emphasize this. We've had some 1s and 2s. It's been a while since we've had a 3. We can have a category 3 storm in our area. That's very realistic. That's not like an end of the world scenario that it's going to happen. It's just a matter of time. So we're going to go from north to south. Anywhere yellow on this map would be greater than 3, and then red would be greater than 9. Again, that matches up with the storm surge poles out in the parking lot. The point of emphasis is it's not just an ocean side feature. We've got some areas that are vulnerable on Roanoke Island, the back end of the Kitty Hawk, Max Head, in this area. So sound side issues as well as ocean. As we go down toward Hatteras Island, some of the worst flooding that we've had was with Irene, the tri-villages, so Rodanthe. So when you see this red, you think 9 feet. Can that really happen? We've had 8 to 11. We've had it. We've already had it before, and that was a 1. So it could be higher. And then down toward Hatteras Village, yes, you can get some on the ocean side, but a lot of it is sound side issues. You see orange there, 6 feet. Some of the values not as high, but it's very low lying area. So anything above 6 would be pretty devastating down there. So just to re-emphasize, it has happened before and it will happen again. Just kind of keep that in mind. Flash flooding, we don't necessarily get flash flooding per se where we are. Flash flooding, you need some topography. We are pretty flat where we are. What we do get is ponding of water. So you drive down those streets and the dunes are higher on both sides of the street. You can get this with thunderstorms. So if you get heavy rain, it might not be flowing, but that's why I use this image for New Bern. It's a stagnant water. If it's deep, you don't want to drive through it. What I want to emphasize is 2 things. Number 1, the category is not an indication of how much rain we're going to have. Down our way, we had 20 to 30 inches of rain with a category 1 Florence. It could be a tropical storm. If we're predicting 30 inches of rain, it's going to be a big deal. So flooding is a concern beyond just storm surge. This is farther inland from us, but I show you this. This is not Dare County. We can have washouts here, especially with the surge, and we've had that along Highway 12. This is inland, so you decide to leave or you're coming back to the area. Road washouts are very common. This is not me looking up the craziest photo I could find. This is during Matthew. Water's powerful. Takes about 2 feet of water, 18 to 24 inches to carry your car away. So if you don't believe that part, believe that perhaps the road doesn't exist underneath it. So if you're driving at night, you don't know how deep the water is, you don't know if the road exists. And I want you to look very carefully. This is why we do these talks. I didn't make up that the shelter is not a comfortable place. I listened to experts say that. When we were doing a talk down in North Topsail, and one of the public utility persons mentioned that, hey, that white pipe there, that's your water line. So when we say to have food, water, and medicine, it's not because your house might be impacted. It might. It's because down the road might be washed out, or over here might be washed out. So electricity, water, those things are cut off. And that just re-emphasizes that point. So never ever cross a flooded road. We may not have flowing water here as frequently outside of storm surge, because we lack the terrain. But if you're traveling inland, get away from the storm. A few inches of rain in the mountains is a big deal. It can cause flash flooding, so keep that in mind. Same thing with the rivers. Last time I checked, we don't have any major rivers in Dare County. But as you move inland, especially if you're coming back to the area, could be some issues. We're pretty lucky with 64. It's usually in pretty good shape. But Highway 70 through places like Kinston or Maysville or Pollocksville, if you're deciding to go down to Florida and you want to cut over 95, I don't know, by Lumberton, those areas have a lot of issues. So kind of keep that in mind. Again, not Dare County specific, but getting back to Dare County could be an issue. So earlier today, we had a meeting with partners and we did a press conference and we talked about rip currents. Rip currents, beach hazards is not just a beach issue. It is an issue prior to or after any storm or a distant storm. In 2019, most of Dare County was okay, but Hatteras Village and then down through, especially Ocracoke, devastated by Hurricane Dorian. 5 to 7 feet of surge, really, really bad. We didn't lose any lives. That same year, we lost 4 people at our beaches in North Carolina, 8 up and down the East Coast because of Lorenzo. Does anybody remember Lorenzo? Anybody remember? You don't remember it because it was 2,000 miles away. It's Category 5, it's a big storm, but it was way out in the ocean, distant swell. So storms that don't hit us can still cause issues at our beaches. There's a little disturbance trying to spin up last week. Wasn't as bad up here, but we had a lot of swell, especially down toward like Emerald Isle, down where we live. So distant storms or approaching storms. And think about it. You're paying to be at the beach and the storm's not until late week. You're going to get in as much beach time as you can. Keep in mind, it can be sunny and it can look really nice, but those distant swells can cause issues at the beach. What can you do about that? Share our information. When you see it on social media, share it with people that are visiting. Second, but not least, would be wind. This is Hurricane Arthur. This is a small, compact Category 2 storm that made landfall by Cape Lookout. It was a big deal up in our area. Down our way, not as much. If we compare and contrast that to Irene, Irene was a lower category, but a more impactful storm overall for the whole entire area. But what I want to emphasize with this is some of these paths of wind can be extremely narrow. So if this just shifted offshore a little bit, it wouldn't be a big deal here at all. If it shifted 15, 30 miles to the west, it would have been a bigger deal farther inland. So it can be well within the cone and the accuracy, but as that storm's approaching Ocracoke and Hatteras, if it just goes off to the right a little bit or just goes to the left a little bit, it makes a huge difference. So that's why evacuations are not our lane, but that's why the county follows what we say are potential worst case scenarios so that you can come back to this forum next year and hear about hurricanes. There's little wobbles at the end. Matthew, wobbled a little bit at the end and got just close enough to our area to cause really, really bad impacts. Those little wobbles matter, and we often don't know about that until it's pretty much upon us. Last but not least is tornadoes. This is Vogue Inlet Pier down toward Emerald Isle. With any tropical system, depression, storm, hurricane, it's rotating. It's not hard to imagine we could have tornadoes. So you decide to stay. It's a tropical storm. It's got 2 inches of rain and 2 feet of storm surge. Stay, no problem. Make sure this is charged up. Make sure it's not on do not disturb if it's at night. Make sure you have a NOAA weather radio. You're probably not out to dinner. You're probably not out shopping, but you might not be in the safest part of your home. So you get those alerts. They're often very quick. They cause enhanced damage. They're also usually really small and spin up really quick. You got to be able to seek shelter in your home at a moment's notice. That can certainly happen. All right, so we're about to turn it over to Drew. At this point, I want to reemphasize a few things. We live here. I mean, it's one of the best places in America. We live in an awesome place. It's our responsibility to take care of ourselves and to prepare. We do not have control over what's going to happen. If you need any more evidence of that, we've been extremely busy at the Weather Service the last 2 months. I finally had the day off Friday, went with the kids to the beach, and we're in the middle of a drought down there. I think up here too, right? And it rains. So if you thought I could control the weather, that's certainly not the case. So we can't control if we're going to have a storm or not, but you can control starting your kit this weekend. You can control not paying attention to the category. You can control sharing this with others. When that neighbor says, I've been here for 30 years, it's just a 1, I'm not going to worry about it. Well, hey, did you notice for some reason it's going to sit over us for 4 days, we're going to get 30 inches of rain? you do have control over sharing that information. That is my email. Mr. Drew is about to come up. If you ever need anything from us, we work tirelessly to be in the community, as evident by today. You want us at your church, you want us at your HOA group meeting, you want Drew and I to do a talk in front of anybody, any time of day, we will be here. Just shoot me an email. I know we're about 3 hours away, but it is also your weather service. We fall under the Department of Commerce, we pay taxes, that pays for us. If you ever want to visit our office, come on down. I know it's about 3 hours away, but anybody is welcome to come visit us because that is your weather service. So at this point, I'm going to stall a little bit. Drew, you can start chatting and I will load up your presentation. Really appreciate it.
It's hard to follow that energy, and when Eric says any time of day, that's his schedule. Look, we work it a little bit closer, not 3 o'clock in the morning. We try to get it done a little bit before so we can get that rest and be ready. But this guy is a dynamo, as is Tom. I know he's going to bring my presentation up. For those that have seen us tag team before, you're going to see that last time you saw us, I went first and Eric went second. This time the batteries are going to fall out.
Okay. Yeah. It's a government issued clicker.
Yeah, so I'm going second this time. Eric really did a great job of talking about preparedness and other things that need to do to get ready. But my slide is titled "Get Ready" because I really encourage you to do that. Some of you have done it already. It's time to refresh, time to revisit. And the first slide is emergency decision making. We get asked a lot of questions about who makes the decisions in Dare County, who makes the call. This video, if you've seen it before, it's a recap of how that process takes place. There's, if you've been here a while and you know your elected officials, you may not see the current ones in here, but it's a little bit dated and we've had some changeover. But you will see some faces that you recognize and hear some voices you recognize. But I'm fingers crossed it's going to do what I thought it. Yeah.
On this delicate sandbar, emergencies happen every day without decisions need to be made. Most days, those decisions are made by first responders to take action and solve problems quickly using the authority and resources at hand. What happens when an emergency exceeds their capabilities or has the potential for widespread impacts across the entire county? Impacts can come from anywhere: a storm, a man-made disaster, a public health crisis, terror, civil unrest, or a chemical release, just to name a few. We are facing widespread or severe damage, injury, loss of life and property. How are decisions made to keep our communities safe?
In North Carolina, counties can operate under the authority granted by state statute. For instance, North Carolina General Statute 166A, the emergency management, provides the authority and responsibility that local governments have to prevent, prepare for, respond to, and recover from emergencies. The act defines is an occurrence of frequent and widespread or severe damage, injury, or loss of life or property resulting from any natural or man-made event or hazard. County are responsible for emergency management efforts to include coordinating activities with towns. Meet this responsibility, county establish emergency management agencies, spend funds to keep people and property safe, implement emergency management plans, provide emergency management response resources, and declare local states of emergency when needed to ensure public health and safety. The county or town declare local state of emergency when they believe the emergency exists or is imminent. In Dare, each county and county have an emergency management ordinance that designates the authority to declare a state of emergency to the town's mayor, chair of the board of commissioners, or their designee. While these individuals have the authority to declare a state of emergency and impose prohibitions and restrictions, they need the best information available to make the best possible decisions to protect public health and safety. When an emergency has occurred on the horizon, we turn to emergency officers. The plan, required by chapter 92 of the Dare County Code, provides a framework which decision makers, such as matter experts and others can get to share information and coordinate decision making. In the plan, we use the term senior leaders to identify decision makers that control and impose restrictions and prohibitions. The term is also used to describe others who have priorities they can use independently to protect public health and safety. The National Park Superintendent and the Dare County Sheriff of rules outside of the Emergency Management Act, making them key senior leaders who routinely collaborate and coordinate actions with the chair of the Dare County Board of Commissioners and with the county.
When challenges arise and actions are needed to ensure public health and safety, our senior leaders, along with other key personnel, come together. They meet either in person or virtually to receive briefings with subject matter experts on what to expect, ways to mitigate impacts, and how best to protect our community.
We always focus on ensuring public health and safety. We never set aside how actions taken impact business and community activities. Often, senior leaders will reach out to key partners and community leaders to gather information and keep them informed as tough decisions are made. Depending on the circumstances, a state of emergency may be declared. Although no one wants to impose prohibitions and restrictions, we know that without it, those we serve may be put unnecessarily in harm's way. While these senior leaders as independent authority, either from the Emergency Action Act or other statutes, that allows them to take actions on their own. They always strive for consensus. Once decisions made, you're effective in a state of emergency declaration that is quickly communicated to the public and implemented. As the situation changes, decision makers agree changes are needed. The declaration is updated, prohibitions and restrictions being added or removed. These efforts continue until the emergency no longer threatens public health and safety. When an emergency crossing jurisdictional boundaries is anticipated to bring widespread impacts to the county, the state of emergency may be signed by the chair of the Board of Commissioners, outlining all decisions and detailing and providing consent. Often towns will issue their own declaration signed by their mayor. At times, the declaration may be issued by just the town.
Just like the everyday decisions made by a lifeguard, law enforcement officer, firefighter, emergency medical technician, or 911 call taker to save lives and protect property, senior leaders are empowered to take action to ensure public health and safety in our communities facing widespread or severe damage, injury, or loss of life and property. These are tough decisions made with the best information available from subject matter experts and key stakeholders that lead to actions that protect our community until emergency conditions are no longer present. For more information, visit www.darenc.com/emergency.
And it has changed to darenc.gov, but it'll still get you the .com address. But you'll notice there's some people in there. One of them was Scott Kennedy, who's a colleague of Eric's. He was deployed to us for Dorian and gave us incident management weather briefings right in our EOC. So we bring the weather service right in with us so that we can get the best information possible to those decision makers when they need it to make the decisions that need to be made to keep us safe. This next slide, somebody saw Eric had this up in his. Things to do now. Determine risk, prepare, learn how to understand forecast, learn what to do before, during, and after storm. That's why you're here tonight. But determining risk is maybe simple, but if it's not, what's my risk? This website is North Carolina floodnc.gov. You could go and check your flood risk there, but when you do that, it's going to tell you what your insurance rating might be, whether you're in the X zone, the AE zone, or somewhere else. And that's done for insurance purposes. We get a lot of people say, oh, I'm in the X zone. That doesn't make a difference. I'm not going to flood. Guess what? You're probably going to flood in the X zone in some of our X zones in Dare County. Because this is only put together based on past storms, not the storm that's going to be coming our way. And the X zone does flood. So keep that in mind. This is another video that helps you understand a little bit about how deep it might get. Eric mentioned our storm surge polls. This is going to give you a little bit of insight on those, as well as about our flood inundation mapping and alerting network that's in the county that tells you how deep the water is coming and going. So another short video for you, hopefully to enjoy.
Most people know what to expect and do when the National Weather Service issues severe weather watches and warnings. When hurricane warning is issued, they know it is time to preparations and evacuate. Since hurricane force winds are expected in the next 36 hours, making outdoor activity unsafe. But not everyone knows what to do. Storm surge watch or warning is issued, or just how life-threatening storm surge can be.
I'm Jimmy Pier with the National Hurricane Center. Did you know that storm surge is the deadliest and most hazardous part of a hurricane? And while our ability to warn on this hazard has dramatically improved over the years, we're now working on public awareness with our partnership with Pier.
Now, new technology and interactive displays on the outer banks are able to change.
Over the past 10 years, the storm surge forecasting has really changed the hurricane. They started to use depth above rain. And as we started to see those pockets, we started to see people going, what's that actually mean? And then we had some storms that impacted us here on Bay High, tropical storm like we started realizing what it was. So we're forecasting 2 to 4 feet above ground. We had a lot of people get impacted by it. Water. They felt like they weren't informed about how to use it. But we needed to help people understand what the forecast is.
As Director of Emergency Management for Dare County, Drew Pearson began to develop a new kind of display, one that could easily be understood by every passerby.
We want to make people aware of how people might get by putting this pole out, frequent increments, but we also put a determinative display out that explains not just the pole, but the products that are put up at a hurricane center. So we're hopeful that people can come out, take a look at the displays, take a look at how deep might get, and they go back home and realize that when they see this 1 to 3 meters storm surge in their community, it's going to get up here.
Each color in a 12-foot pole represents 3 feet of water above the ground. The eye-catching colors are the same ones used by the National Hurricane Center on their inundation.
I'm truly hopeful that every resident and visitor comes to the Outer Banks who sees one will know what they need to do when storm surge forecast is issued and take our lives in problem. Our mission will be complete if we don't have farms inundated with water. If we don't have people stuck in their homes. The west water comes around the home, comes up into their food spaces. And our mission complete if we have people saying, I saw it in this way, I knew what I needed to do when the forecast came.
Storm surge poles have been placed at 27 locations around the Outer Banks, including town halls, beach access, ferry terminal, and sound access.
Across the country, trying to demonstrate we have a new partnership with Pier. We are so excited. We are going to get storm surge pole that we can use to demonstrate both on media interviews, tours, to actually show us water levels.
While understanding storm surge is important, actually knowing when water levels are changing is just as critical. To improve water level monitoring, Dare County has installed 12 new flood gates. The gates will become part of North Carolina's emergency management statewide effort to support risk-based decisions regarding flooding using the flood inundation mapping and alerting network, also known as FIRE.
These flood inundation mapping and alerting networks of gates that we're having installed. There's a box that's installed outside of here, it's got a sensor. In that sensor, it sends a signal down through water, and it comes back up. And then as the water level changes, the signal distance changes, and it tells us what is going on now.
Anyone can view water levels and sign up for alerts from local fire pages at fire.nc.gov. In addition to use by the general public, National Weather Service uses gauge information to refine their forecast and warning products.
Dare County's new gauges are adding tools to our toolbox that help us with rising ocean and sound time water level rises. We're so excited about the new real-time water level information that's available. Having it will help us mission of protecting life and property.
With better ways to measure flood and increased awareness of what certain waters can do, hopefully Outer Banks locals and visitors will now know what to do in the event of a storm surge warning.
Now you can see what Eric looks like when he's not auditioning for a show, but just a little bit of information on storm surge and how to know what's going on in your community as waters come up and down. You know what evacuation zone you live in? You think you live in an evacuation zone? Yes. Yeah, every part of Dare County is in a zone. We got 2 zones. Zone A is Hatteras Island. Zone B is the rest of the county. If you've lived somewhere else in the past, you may have had 5 zones. There's lots of areas go from A to E. But in Dare County, the storm surge that we see leaves us with just 2 zones. Zone A, which is Hatteras Island, Zone B, which is the rest of the county. So when we do get a mandatory evacuation order, you will say Zone A and Zone B, but we will also say all of Hatteras Island to include the villages of northern beaches to include the towns of. So you can look up your evacuation zone, but if you live in Dare County, you are in an evacuation zone. It is available to look at. If you're in another part of the world, you can look up any evacuation zones anywhere in the country. Know your zone. Getting out of Dare County, it's pretty simple, right? Got a couple bridges, you head that way and you get out of Dare County. And they get used a lot. This weekend we'll be using them a lot. People will be coming and going, hundreds of thousands of people travel. But we do have this piece to try to encourage people that do need to leave to think about using 64 to get to 95. Because if you end up going 158 and north, you're going to get to enjoy the traffic in Tidewater, Virginia, and it might take you longer to get to 95 if that's where you're going than if you went out 64 in Virginia, 64 in North Carolina out to 95. So just some tidbits. It may look longer on your GPS, but you may get there quicker. And things have come a lot, things have improved a lot with Waze, all those other apps that will give you the best route, but 64 might be a better route than 58. Eric mentioned this in one of his slides about having a plan. I can't encourage you enough to have a plan. We hear the comment that, oh, I got other things going on. I really can't get out of here. My plan, I don't have a plan. I got to do this. I got to do that. The life-threatening storm surge, flooding, and high winds, they don't care if you got to go out to dinner tomorrow night. They're going to come. They're going to do damage to you. They take priority over everything else that's going on. And if we're getting to the point where we've ordered an evacuation, you heard me say we never want to do that. But when we do it, we mean it. When it's ordered, it's time to get up and go. Eric mentioned getting your kit put together. Have that kit so it can go with you. Because if you're going to go somewhere, take the kit with you because you'll have all of your food, your supplies, your medicines, everything you need, because you may be gone for a bit and you may be, I'm hoping you're going to go visit the relatives that have just come to visit you for the summer. You're going to go to that safe place. You're going to go where you planned. But in that off chance, you have to go and find a shelter. There are no amenities in a shelter. You might be lucky if you get a cot, and I'm pretty certain you're not going to get a hot meal on the first night. So don't find a place in your plan that doesn't include a shelter. But if all else fails, there will be shelters opened up inland, and they'll be available to you, and you can go to them. But have that kit with you to be safe. If you know anybody, or you end up in that position where you just can't go, your car broke down, you don't have the gas, the money to fill up the gas tank, call us, 475-5655. We will transport people to a shelter. We hope we don't have to do that, but we have the ability, and we will do that to make sure people have a safe place to be. But make plans now that don't include a shelter. Have that place to go where you're welcome, you have the amenities, you feel safe, and make plans now so you don't have to go to a shelter. If you do need help making those plans, readync.gov. Eric had a couple of weather service, NOAA sites up there. Our state does maintain a really neat website, readync.gov. You can look at what you put in your kits. You can look at what you need to do to get ready. It talks about climate. It talks about a lot of stuff. And there also is, when you do it on your mobile device, it will bring up it in a mobile-friendly piece. So if you need to know where that shelter is, you can click on the shelter tab. Right now, there's no open shelters, but if there were open shelters, they'd show up on the map, and you know where they are. And most of those are going to be inland. We do not do pre-storm sheltering in Dare County. Everything in Dare County is an evacuation zone. even if it doesn't flood at a school, it could be an island around that school. And we don't want to have people trapped at that island because we can't take care of them. So we do not shelter in Dare County. We always ask people to check on their neighbors. We do have a special medical needs registry. You can sign up for it. And this is going to be a little video that tells you a little bit. And I don't know how to make that go away.
I'm trying to like,
Try again. Sorry about that.
I'm trying to like, Division of Social Service, the Dare County Department.
It's not, it's a presentation.
Emergency preparedness tool.
It's a presentation.
It's needed for factory. Our regional service unit oversees the registry for Dare County. Who should register for this special need? Dare County residents who need assistance with medical care or personal care during an evacuation, hurricane, those may need assistance while they are sheltering during a storm due to their physical and or mental impairments should register. The registry is not just for the elderly population. It's not just for social service clients. Participation in the registry is voluntary. All information will be kept privately confidential. Also, anyone who uses oxygen or receives dialysis is strongly encouraged to register. These are two critical needs that can be impacted if access is limited. Person lives, or the power is lost during. The special medical needs registry is important. Dare County and local municipality officials also need to know where the areas where vulnerable residents are so that they can contact them quickly before and after. Once you register, you will remain on the registry and do not need to be registered each year. Each May, a social worker will contact you to verify the information. Each time an event is approaching, you will be contacted. Based on the information you provided, and will work with you to make sure you're ready to implement your evacuation. We will remind you to take your essential medications and medical supplies, medical equipment, any special needs you require, or documents, and a driver's license or other items. If an evacuation is ordered, you can assist with transportation to a shelter. Individuals who require dialysis will be evacuated to a location in proximity to these services. Resources can be very limited during the. In addition to registering for the special medical needs, it is important that you take a few minutes to register for OEX alerts and create a smart 911 profile. By completing both, you will receive public safety and routine alerts and notifications from local officials. We will be able to review your potential needs and prepare for us. Finally, develop your evacuation plan now, where you will go and how you will get it. If you or someone you know is being added to the special medical needs registry, please visit darenxt.gov/special needs, all the division of social services, 475.
I'll give credit to our social services department. It is a great program, and they do call, update stuff. And if we do have a storm on the horizon, they call everybody on the registry just to see how they're doing and see if they need help. So if you ever get to that point where you need it, or you know somebody who does, please encourage them to register. Eric talked a little bit about getting official information. Chuck just talked a little bit about OBX alerts. But I just encourage you to get your information from a trusted source. And I hope you will trust Dare County. I hope you do trust the National Weather Service for information that has to do with things that we need you to do. If you haven't signed up for OBX alerts, I got a short video that'll show you how to do it. Eric mentioned making sure you had your phone not just turned on. I would say not just have it turned on, but make sure you have government alert notifications turned on as well. And that's a separate setting on your phone that you got to go and do. And this video will give you a little bit about that.
Own property here, just like in this area, it's essential to have convenient and reliable access to emergency alerts, other important notifications that may affect you, your family, or your property. That's what Dare County and 6 municipalities use OBX alerts, which is powered by a mass notification service provider called Raid Mobile Safety to deliver emergency alerts and routine notifications.
OBX alerts is a subscriber basis that is used to share a wide array of county and town alerts and routine notifications with individuals who sign up to receive. Subscribers can choose which type of alerts and notifications they would like to receive from the account, as well as the towns of Dublin, Southern Shores, Katy Hawk, Philadelphia Hills, Nags Head, and Maine. There are two main types of alerts that subscribers receive: emergency alerts and routine notifications. They make it easy to opt in to only receive notifications that are relevant to you and protect the areas where you live, work, or enjoy your vacation. Both Dare County, as well as each of the 6 counties, use OBX alerts to send emergency alerts. The types of emergency alerts that OBX alert subscribers are planning to receive include severe weather conditions, warnings in their area, issued by the National Weather Service, evacuation orders, information regarding conditions and closures, as well as other public safety concerns. OBX alert subscribers who sign up to receive routine notifications and expect to receive information about delays or disruptions of water delivery, schedule changes or cancellations for trash collection services, as well as lead reminders, updates, and other items. Dare County currently only utilizes the OBX alert platform to send emergency alerts rather than routine notifications. In addition to having the ability to choose which types of information you would like to receive, subscribers can also choose how they prefer to receive. When signing up for OBX alerts and customizing your profile, you can choose to receive the types of emergency alerts and routine notifications you selected by text, email, or automated. For those who only want county-wide emergency alerts issued by Dare County Emergency Management and received as a text message, you can simply text Dare Emergency Alerts 7729. The emergency alert notifications that are sent out by an OBX alerts platform, developed and disseminated by public safety officials, as well as various staff members employed by Dare County and 6 municipalities. Local, state, and federal public safety officials may also utilize FEMA's Integrated Public Alert System, which is known as IPAS, to send authenticated emergency and life-saving information to the public through mobile phones using wireless emergency alerts. These type of alerts range from information regarding extreme weather and natural human-made disasters, active shooters, and neighborhoods. In order to receive these types of report alerts, Dare County Emergency Management encourages everyone to ensure that all government alert notifications are enabled on your mobile devices. Thank you for taking the time to learn more about these alerts and why it's so important to sign up to receive these emergency alerts and routine notifications if you live, work, or vacation in Dare County. For more information, including a video that provides detailed instructions on how to sign up to receive alerts and notifications, please visit www.obxalerts.com.
It's curious is how many have already signed up? That's great. Sorry I played the video, but thank you for, and tell your neighbors if they haven't, get everybody to sign up. So getting official information is truly important because you want to get it from the right source. I already talked about how dangerous the ocean becomes. It's not just during a storm. We do have another text to join piece, OBX beach conditions, just send it to 77295. If you got family coming in from out of town, and you wanted to know what the beach conditions are, just have them text OBX beach conditions 77295 and they'll get information from them. We get a lot of questions about reentry. It is a fun process. It's all driven by public safety. It does start our recovery process. There may still be hazards out here. We may still have prohibitions and restrictions in place, and we're starting to bring people back to get life going again. Sometimes it's very quick if we haven't had major impacts. Sometimes it takes a really long time. And we just ask you to be as patient as you can if you've evacuated and you want to get back. We know you want to get back to your house. We know you want to get back and find out about impacts, but we want to get you back when it's safe to be back and that we can support you being here. If you come and we don't have ambulance services available or we don't have law enforcement available because we've been devastated, you're better off where you are in a safe place where you can get those things that you need. But we will work diligently to get you back as quickly as possible. We do use a staged process to come back in. We bring back first responders first, and we try to get our permanent residents and critical businesses back so you get back to your homes and we can start to get businesses open so we can start the recovery process. Then our non-resident property owners, non-critical businesses, and then general public and visitors. There is a sample of a priority 2 reentry permit. You can go online at the website down there to get one. But if you have a Dare County driver's license with a Dare County, or a North Carolina driver's license with a Dare County address on it, that's all you need at the checkpoint to get in, just to show that. But having a pass may get you through quicker because it helps streamline the checking at the pass, at the checkpoint by law enforcement partners. These are my last 2 videos. Don't be Tom, be Debbie. They're about 30 seconds each, and it just shows you what people experience when they get to enjoy the joy of storm surge. This is Hurricane Michael when it came ashore. It was Orange Beach in Florida.
You can't do like the house light starts playing, everything floats. You can't get them all the way. Yeah. It's worse than it. That's not it.
Came out with this mandatory evacuation, evacuated. You might not be here for that. I didn't feel mom, I think, processing that.
So I encourage you all to get ready. Some of you all already have. You repeat visitors with us. So I truly appreciate you coming back out. OBX alerts, a hurricane guide, there's an image of it up there. It's on our website. There's a stack of them over here. You can take as many as you want. And please, if you have a church group that could use them, take them, give them to the church group. Run from the water, hide from the wind. It's the storm surge that's going to get you. Thank you all for being here tonight. I want to thank Eric and Tom for being up with us. And we're here for your questions. I know everybody wants to get home to watch the debate, but thank you all for spending this enjoyable time with us as we get around to that 9 o'clock hour for some even more enjoyable times.
So we'd be happy to take any questions. Like Drew said, I know a lot of you, it's late in the evening, so you probably want to get out of here. Happy to take questions. To reiterate what he said, we also, on the way out, there's some information, other hazards, heat, lightning. The guide for the county is one of the best, so definitely grab that. And if you can do me a favor, as we're packing up and loading up, it won't be on the recording, let me know why you came tonight and how you heard about it. We're trying to hear about how we're getting it out to the community, and I'm just kind of curious to hear stories. You don't have to, but if you do me that favor, I appreciate it as we pack up. But any questions? Yes.
Keelan's got a microphone.
Oh,
We
yes.
want to get it on the
Yeah.
tape, so
Yeah.
you can karaoke if you want.
One was, is there a way to check to see if someone is on the list? Because sometimes older people that might need help don't feel like they should put themselves on the list.
The special medical needs registry. Well, if you let me know who that might be, I can check. If you called, they wouldn't let you check, but if you can let me know who that might be, we can do that.
You know about CERT, community emergency response?
We do, yeah. Yeah, would you like to become a CERT member? We have one CERT team in the county. It's the Hatteras Island Community Emergency Response Team down on Hatteras Island. We would love to grow our cadre of CERT teams. We have not had the same luck that other communities have had. We see there's a lot of people that volunteer out here. There's a lot of volunteer opportunities, and we see that there are often there's so much that people can do. We haven't seen that same growth of community emergency response teams north of Hatteras Island that we did see on Hatteras Island or in other communities. But if anybody's interested, my information, my cards are here. We'd love to find some way to build that momentum to grow the community emergency response team across the county. We just haven't had it taken off anywhere else. Not for a lack of trying, but for a lack of volunteers.
Something in the, like, one of the newsletters, say, is there interest?
Yeah, we can beat the drum again. We'd love to beat the drum. Yep. Any other questions? If you have a question after you leave, my business cards are somewhere, and or just go on our website, drop us a note, give me a phone call. Same thing with Eric. We're here. He's here 24-hour days. I'm here about 18 hours a day because I do get some sleep. He never sleeps, but I do get some. But thank you all for coming out tonight, and have a safe trip home.